So that's where you remember a couple of slides back, you have seen the sulfide. Now he has used oxide. So the reason for that, there will be a increase the potential. So your energy density will be much higher. So then they found that the capacity is only 30. So they want to increase more capacity. Then they went for other materials, lithium manganese oxide, lithium iron phosphate, and this is called NMC chemistry. So they say manganese, nickel, cobalt. And there will be an increase in the specific capacity, nothing but the energy density. See, now we are getting 300, 400 like that. But imagine the amount of energy that what is being used in the conventional battery is really not at all enough to have a electric vehicle kind of application, because we need a huge amount of energy. One charge you must be able to travel from Karaikudi to Coimbatore, so that's what we need. So the existing material, it's not possible because you need to have in between a charging station. So that's the challenges we have. Let's see what are the other systems so to address. So I'll just quickly go through one sample, one cathode material that is shown here. So what are the challenges in this material and how to address this? So basically this is called the spinel lithium manganese oxide. So due to its the structural feature, it gives a strong edge sharing octahedral, which permits a reversible extraction of lithium without disturbing the structure. Then what is the problem? So there are a lot of issues in this. The metal dissolution, manganese dissolution, John Teller distortion is a effort in the compounds, in the coordination compound. And of course you have loss of crystallinity, development of microstrain, and of course there is a possibility of decomposition of the electrolyte. So these are the failures. So how to address these things? So we have taken this compound and we have tried to address some of these factors. So we mainly focus on the dissolution part. Okay, don't worry about the calculation and other things. So the point that I'm trying to tell you is here only the amount of valence. So when you look at these two cartoons, when you have more than 50% manganese 3+, the dissolution is more. When you have like 30%, you could see minimum dissolution. The chemistry behind this is when you have more amount of manganese 3+, so manganese 2+ dissolution will be much more in the electrolyte, because we know that Mn3+ dissociate into Mn2+ and 4+. So that 2+ is dissolving in the electrolyte. So here we have fine-tuned the composition of the spinel compound to avoid the maximum dissolution of the active material in the electrolyte. Okay, so this is actually overall, the cathode materials history. Lithium cobalt oxide, spinel, olivine based compounds. So look at each material has its own advantage and disadvantage. In the case of lithium cobalt oxide, look at this, the energy density is higher and specific capacity also 140. But it's very expensive, cobalt and other things. So that is the reason why we can't always think of this material. More than that, it's only possible to take 50% of the lithium. That means only 0.5 of lithium is reversibly possible. On the other hand, if you look at spinel, another wonderful cathode material, you could see complete lithium is possible, but the capacity is slightly less. Here 160, the capacity of this compound. This lithium iron phosphate. Iron is much cheap compared to these two. But again, problem, this is poor conductivity. So you need to improve the conductivity of this material. So that involves again the processing cost. So this we need to have some kind of optimized the selection of this active material. And this is the entire battery technology landscape. What we have started with Sony, that is lithium cobalt oxide. During 90s, that is the capacity around 100 watt-hour per kg, the energy density. And then there is a gradual change in this chemistry with respect to lithium cobalt oxide to spinel and lithium iron phosphate. And then again, these are the players making use of these kind of material. Now even See the organic batteries. So also is taking another, the area. More importantly, lithium air and lithium sulfur are going to be the major player in this storage technology. Even sodium also. The amount of lithium what we find in the earth crust is limited, but sodium is plenty. So that's why people are trying to make use of this sodium ion chemistry. But although lithium and sodium in the same family, there is a lot of challenges in utilizing this sodium ion chemistry. So the projection says that a twofold increase in the energy density over next 30 years could be lithium sulfur or lithium air. And cost is also a crucial factor. So suppose we talk about organic, then the cost comes, the primary factor. We all know that it takes, a minimum 2 decades. So after finding some suitable material to have a mature technology, we have to wait for 10 to 20 years. Okay, so after talking all these things about lithium batteries, we should not omit these factors, that is safety. How often we face these kind of incidents? Probably you might have heard about the aeroplane crash and car accident, mobile phone, laptops. All these things happen due to the lithium-ion batteries. So what are that? How to avoid these things? Then go for the alternative material, trying to solve the safety issue. And in future, so some folks predict that future mode of transport would be either electric vehicle or a horse. That we have to decide what to be taken. And this lithium air battery, look at, I was telling about lithium sulfur and lithium air battery. Look at these two cartoons. What you see here, this is the conventional battery, what we are talking. And it's difficult to accommodate the large amount of battery in order to meet our huge energy demand. But on the other hand, when you use lithium air, it's very comfortable and convenient because one of the components that you don't have to store in your vehicle, so that is your air. So we can directly make use of the air as one of the active material. That is the reason you are very comfortable in this kind of system. More than that, the amount of energy that I am going to show you along with you, the lithium sulfur. Look at this. So that's the reason why we say lithium sulfur and lithium air systems are going to be the next generation of storage technology. And look at the energy density in these two cases. In the case of lithium sulfur, you see 3,500. Now, can you recall the very beginning slides where we talked about lithium-ion batteries energy density? It's hardly 200. Now, imagine how many times higher in the case of lithium sulfur. Even more in the case of lithium air, lithium oxygen, almost 5,000 watt-hour per kg. So, this kind of energy storage system only could give you, the complete ride. In the case of electric vehicle, one charge, complete charge will take you from 300 to 500 miles per charge. And more than that, look at the conventional batteries where we use cobalt as a major active material. The cost is the prime factors that one should consider. The cost of cobalt is $42,000 per ton. On the other hand, sulfur is just $30 per ton. And of course, for oxygen, I don't think that you need to pay for oxygen, but we may wonder, days may come to pay for pure oxygen. We don't know. So these are things makes the difference in terms of energy density and the cost lifetime. So this is again the simple. It may be appearing simple chemical reaction involving the electrons, but actual system, there will be a lot more complication, like a lot of ions and species roaming in and around the electrolyte and the electrodes. So that's where the complication arises. It looks simple, but the compounds that involved in the system is too complicated. So these are the challenges we need to address. In the case of lithium sulfur, look at this. Though the energy density is much higher compared to conventional battery, 3,500. But look at the challenges in that. Solubility of polysulfide, conductivity and the reactivity of this metal, the metallic lithium. So what we thought in the very beginning, like when they have started this technology with lithium as a anode, the dendrite growth is common in the case of lithium sulfur or lithium air, because there we are not going to replace this metallic lithium. But suppose if someone says that I can have the complete property of metallic lithium with some other material, then we are in the business, because you can completely replace the metallic lithium with the compound without sacrificing the performance of the lithium. Okay, so now how to address these challenges? So since as title says, there are a lot of challenges, so we are looking one by one. So in the case of lithium sulfur, there are 3 challenges. Let's see how to address these. So we have taken some kind of, the combination of the active material using flexible glass fibers, freestanding composite electrodes that we have made as an electrode. So the second, the challenges as you hear, the solubility, the first one, solubility of the polysulfide. Polysulfide is nothing but an active material in your electrode. Okay. So now how to suppress the solubility, because you should minimize the solubility to make use of the complete utilization of your active material. So that's where we have designed electrodes in such a way that you can minimize the polysulfide dissolution. So these are the chemical composition. Don't worry about the combination and other things. If you are very particular, then please go through this paper and look at these changes. These photographs clearly indicates that complete capture of polysulfide. So this is the first vial is the polysulfide, and the second one is after adding our electrode additives, and you could see that there is a change. Similarly, this also again other piece of work that involved the combination of manganese oxide hollow sphere in the active material modification. So look at this again. So we were talking about the other generation battery, lithium air. So in your charge discharge plot, you might have seen where I was showing the working principle of lithium ion batteries, right? So the charging and the discharging. So the black one is the actual charge discharge process of the conventional lithium air batteries. But if you look at this, there is a huge difference, almost 1.7 volt difference. This is, a discharge and charge and the discharge. So obviously the efficiency of this system is much, much lower when you have this kind of difference in the charging and discharging voltage. So people are trying to minimize this voltage gap so that they can increase the efficiency. So then how to bring down this voltage gap? Then obviously there are catalysts like platinum and gold, and then they worked out and they could brought the voltage drop to the large extent. So you could see that there is a drop in the voltage. Yeah, of course they are happy, but it's okay, it's working. But how to take it to the market? As a commercial product, so platinum and gold may not be viable. That is the cost. That's why we have to take a optimized, balanced system where you should also bring down your the voltage gap to increase the efficiency. At the same time, you have to be very careful with the catalyst what we are using. We cannot afford for platinum and gold as a electrocatalyst for lithium air battery. So these are the challenges. So we need to focus. We need to work out kind of catalyst where you can minimize the over voltage of these two processes, charging and discharging. At the same time, the catalyst also must be, inexpensive. It should not be too cost as platinum and gold. Okay, so far we have discussed about, kind of the different storage systems and how lithium ion batteries are so important, what is the energy density, power density, and how these active materials are important, kind of thing. So now the second part, maybe I'll take another 10-15 minutes. The redox flow battery. So the name itself shows flow. So that means, you can imagine, you can store the energy in the form of liquid. That's what it means. You know, these redox flow batteries are so important in terms of large scale storage of electricity. So I must tell you the fact that, you know, this renewable energy, solar and wind, it will not, you know, do their job when you want, because we cannot, you know, instruct sun or wind to do their job. Okay, so whenever it is, you know, performing, we must be in a